Alright then, so as it seems that the stream does work all fine. Just double checking that everything works with the volume and all. Yep, seems completely fine. Alright then, so as we're just pretty quickly gonna wait up for everyone to ready up, I'm gonna start talking a little bit more as we are loading in with the proper intro and all. Alright then, so as we're loading in, welcome to CCR round 9 in Spain here for the Tier 1 race. As of course, after a week break between round 8 and round 9, we're back in Spain for the Mediterranean split of the season. Starting us off here in Spain, then next week Portugal, and then the 2 Italian races to end off the split. So the grid situation currently is, we've got a full grid, which is certainly a difference compared to Tier 2. And of course I'm just going to quickly pull up the championship standings to go through that pretty quickly. So obviously, as Bashi has retired from the league, it's pretty much a Mercedes versus Ferrari battle yet again. We've got second season in a row, we're going to have Jericho versus Folly. So it's going to be interesting to see how both of these drivers fare here in Spain. Just as a quick reminder, last season in Spain it did end up with a Jericho win. However, Folly was the man racing. Or Folly was the man who didn't race, so it was just a Jericho one-man show back then. But obviously since then there have been multiple months and the drivers had been able to improve. So as I'm just going to set it up pretty quickly. And we're here for 1 hour qualifying session, so here we go. We've got the first driver slowly coming out on track, I'm assuming it is, and it is Cody. In the Haas car. Interestingly enough, a lot of pressure on him, because allegedly, if he doesn't score points, he is getting kicked out of his seat. And obviously he has disliked the track a lot. It's going to be interesting to see what the strategy for qualifying is, as this track is soft medium or soft hard. Both of them are possible, and most likely going to see a soft medium. So it's interesting to see if somebody is going to throw out the medium tyres in Q1, or if we're just going to see everybody set lap times on softs and trying to do Q2 on the mediums. As well, quite a few more drivers out on track. We've got Walkadinho in the McLaren, Gadwin in the Alpha Tauri, Lignade in the Aston Martin, then you've got Milos in the Mercedes as Ayan gets thrown out of the session momentarily. Hopefully he's going to be back soon. So let's go over to Cody here as he's about to start off his lap. He had a good exit here, the longest straight on the track. This is where we're going to see most of the overtakes coming up, and here we go, turn 1, careful not to invalidate. And he misses the apex slightly into that turn, has to watch out for the curb there, not to spin. And now lifts through turn 3. He's going to go through pretty softly, purple sector 1 currently. Obviously it's just the start. As we see a little bit of lag, but that shouldn't be a problem. Careful not to go too wide out of that corner. And now here another one where it's really easy to lose it, but he manages to keep it together. And that's going to be the ending of sector 2. As it goes into the hairpin, probably now for the worst sector of the track, as that pole is gone. Now going through Probably the final section almost loses control there on the exit. And now finally the chicane to end off the lap. And he doesn't manage to invalidate, he went on the curb there, but he slows down. Interesting to see, slows down to set a 120. Curious on why he did that. I would assume, however, it is because to give... No, it's not giving Golden Flame a turn. It's a really interesting thing to do. Slowing down for some reason. We've got a car off in Sector 3. And that is Vokick spinning out as Walkadinho finally will see a probably more Tier 1 like lap time with a 17.9. Taha following it up with an 18 flat. And now next one across the line is going to be Gadwin, who goes provisional first with a 17.6. As we're going to have Milos pitting, and Thinking Age retires. That is a crash through Sector 1, so we're going to stick together to see up his car just right there. Probably losing control out of turn 2. And he is off as we're going to go over to Jericho setting his lap. Marine goes first currently, so the reserve from Tier 2 sets up a pretty good time there, as we've got Jericho through Sector 1. All fine, 21.8 in the third sector. Of course, drives carefully, as we've got a lot of yellow flags for drivers slowing down as Extinct goes up to P2, but just 15 thousandths of a second from Marine, and Lee Craig, who goes 6th. Because now Jericho's going to go through the turn. That is one that could be scary during the race, but he goes through it all fine. And here we go, the end of Sector 2 as Golden Flame goes 3rd currently. And they've got a car letting Jericho through. And through Sector 3 now should be a pretty easy drive through here. As we're looking at a 116, maybe up to 115 already. As now Jericho rounds the final corner. It's not going to be a 115, it's actually a 117.1, which is the fastest lap time currently. As we've got Chao Silva spinning out. And now trying to get back on track, has to be careful not to block someone who's currently on a lap. That is... yeah, that is Jericho passing through, so that is fine. And he's back as normal. As we've got Cody probably now looking to actually set the real lap time. Yes, a 117.8. As who have we got next across the line? We've got Extinct, who's going to the pits. We've got Siam probably now set. Yeah, Siam currently on a serious lap time. As there is a lot of traffic over here, you're going to see it in a moment. It's just cars are everywhere, slowing down to let people through. And also, we've got Folly on the medium, so first person to pull out those yellow tyres instead of the red ones. It's going to be interesting to see how that lap time goes, but yep, Siam through Sector 2 now has to be careful, could be blocked off by the two Ferraris. Dirty Air does kick in if you're that close to a car, so probably not the greatest situation for Siam, but he's going to go through pretty stably through Sector 3. I was going to have, yep, Eagles going to the pits, and the lap time that Siam gets, it's... I have no clue, I do not... Okay, so the timing board just starts glitching out for him, so I guess we're going to leave him for the time being. Move over to Folly instead, looking how he does on the mediums here. I've got Cody going up into P4 ahead of his teammate, interestingly enough. Now Folly 22 flat through Sector 1, so that is about 1.5 tenths behind Jericho. Which is interesting to see. Obviously the tyre difference is around 1 second a lap. But yes, he's going to fall through a lot of yellow flags pretty much everywhere on the track. He's probably kind of looking up a little bit weird there out of the corner, but he is fine. And a 51 flat through Sector 2. So So now for the final bit of track, we're going to see where he's going to go. I doubt it's going to be P1, but it could be somewhere around the top 5 maybe. And for the final corner, goes safely through that curb, and it's going to be a 1:17.6. That's P8 for him. As we're now going to move down to LBU, who I'm pretty sure is on a lap currently, his first time lap, as Jericho just set the 17 flat, as he probably just tries to set as many laps as possible on those softs, and then just throws out the Q1 softs as usual. As we've got now 15 drivers with set lap times. The only people not to set lap times yet is playing Cookie, Hemi, Jacko, and LBU, and nice job. It's going to be interesting to see how their laps turn out, as the next one out of them to cross the line is going to be LBU. Showing up as a purple sector too. Obviously those purple sectors, can't believe them perfectly, but that seems like a pretty good lap. He's now going to be going through sector 3. And what's that going to be? He rounds the final corner, looking like a 1:17.4, so that's P6 for the Swedish driver. As next one who's on a lap currently, and is currently out of the session, we've got Noise Job. He's now going through sector 2, and 1:03 through sector 2, so there must have been a spin on the way, I think. That is way too slow, and yes, he is slowing down, so most likely just making himself space for the lap itself. We've got Gadwin invalidated the lap. And we're at that point in the session where not a lot of cars are coming out. People are coming in for new tyres to probably go out at the end of the session. So we're just going to go back to Noise, and yes, he is setting himself up for another lap. It's going to have to be an important one, as driver ahead of him, I'm pretty sure that is LBU going for secondary run. Oh, actually no, that is Hemi. So I guess let's follow him throughout this lap. See how that goes. Through sector 1 pretty well, no issues. That is... okay, that must have just been desync, him braking through there, but 1:20. Wait, no, 21.8. The first sector, so a decent time. As we've got a McLaren slowing down in sector 3, getting the space to set himself up for a lap. There's now Hemi going through sector 2. The desync makes it pretty difficult to see exactly what happens, but he does invalidate out of those corners. Now probably he's just going to have to let Noise Job through, who's currently on a lap, probably a little bit of a toe. And yeah, it's just going to go straight on to leave the space. Now we're going to be looking Noise Job, next guy to cross the line. We have to wait and see how this lap turns out. Obviously going to be improvement on the previous lap, but that chicane doesn't go that well, and he's going to cross the line to set a 1:17.7, putting him at just P11. But we also have to mention how P2 down to P15 is barely 7.5 tenths. The gaps are really small, as there goes Cacho having to let more drivers through. Has got plain Cookie on a lap time. 50.8 through the second sector. And I was going to have to watch out. They've got Mills just letting him through, and as he spins on the curb, that is one that you have to be careful with, because it's really easy to just lose the back end there. We're going to cut back to Hemi, still fighting to complete a lap. As Cacho is out, so we're going to quickly just jump over to Folly to maybe catch what happened to him. Could that be him crashing on the way to the pits? Yes, it is. Just messed it up on the way going to the pit lane. That's going to be P20. As we're quickly going to cut back to Hemi, who's about to end their lap. You're going to see where is it going to be. It's a 1:16.5 and half a second faster than Jericho. So here we've got the real laps coming in. As well now with, I have no clue how much time remaining because of the yellow flags graphic. So there's Walkadinho out as well. So we're going to go over to Milos who's on a lap so we can see that, and that is him probably, yeah, just losing control on that curb. Milos getting really close to just a lose time there. Interesting to see, he has a 50.7 through the second sector. 7/10 faster than the first lap time. Hoping to finish this off without any issues. As yeah, there comes the confirmation. 4.5 minutes remaining. And we're going to have 3, probably only 2 more drivers getting knocked out in Q1. As Milo sets a 1:17.4, putting him in P7. So now going to cut through the Plain Cookie, who's on his way to finish off the lap. Oh! Invalidates on the final corner, and luckily has enough time to get back into the pits. That's going to have to be a quick pit stop and just get out again because there's not a lot of time remaining. That's putting a lot of pressure on Plain Cookie there. As well, we've got Aeon, who's invalidated on the last corner, so also can't do anything about the lap time. We've got Ney, who just starts off their lap. And obviously these two now in the danger zone as Walkadinho and Dickinade have both been knocked down. We're seeing a little bit of lag. That's going to be interesting to see. So Noise Job are probably coming out as well. And Folly, who is currently out, on the medium still. But you've got to be careful, you don't want to get knocked out in Q1. As now Ney spins it and is out of the session. Goes too hard on the acceleration out of the corner. That is them out. We're going to cut over to Folly, who's in the process of finishing up their lap. As Gadwin decides to just retire into the pit lane in P5, so it's completely safe. And the Folly is going to be ending off the lap. Probably looking to improve. I didn't see those sector times, but most likely they are faster as a 1:17.2 right next to Jericho on the softer tire, on the harder tires actually. It's going to have Lee Craig looking to finish off their lap. 3/10 up through sector 2 isn't exactly enough to get out of the danger zone, but we're going to see how it goes. It's going to be a 1:17.8, so it goes up to P14. I've got Aeon, who's going to have to pit. And that might just be their qualifying over, because I don't think you can get out on track quick enough. That is unfortunate, as it was only 4/10 away from Ney, who isn't even going to compete in Q2. And he just drives through. I've honestly no clue what's happening there, but we're going to move over to Plain Cookie, another driver in the danger zone currently. About to start off their lap. Has to set a 1:17.8 to be comfortably through. We're going to be seeing quite a lot of pressure. This is one lap or you're out situation. Well, it's going to be interesting to see. Sector 1 goes by fine, no problems there. Now on to Sector 2. Only about a 10th away from the top guys, so that's a pretty good time. As we're going to have now through Sector 2, careful not to invalidate there by going too wide, and here comes probably the most difficult part for traction, goes by easily. And starts to lose control. For some reason there's still a tyre in the middle of the road there. But yes, as there's only 30 seconds remaining and both Lee Craig and Aeon have pit, this is going to be the final run. So Plain Cookie looking to get himself out of the danger zone and get into Q2. Going to round the final few corners. Time to beat is 17.847, and Plain Cook is going to set a 1:17.694, comfortably out in P13, and that is going to be it from this session, as everyone's in the pits except for him. And the question is, does he just go for another lap here? Tries to beat that even further, even though he doesn't have to. I think that is exactly what's going on. So yeah, Bailey attempts slow for sector 1, so we're just gonna look at that. Look at this lap until it finishes. And that is gonna be Q1 over, so Hemi half a second faster than the rest, but I'm also quite sure that the Mercedes sandbags are back as plain cookie invalidated, so we're probably just going to see him going to the pits as there's just a tyre in the middle of the straight. This game is brilliant. But yes, we get Hemi in first place, then Jericho following, and Rireen in P4, an amazing performance from the Tier 2 reserve. Or from the reserve from Tier 2, putting in that kind of performance. It's only Q1, so obviously the sandbags are still there for some drivers. That's really good. And at the same time, you also got Cody in P7. Pretty good result. The question is, can he keep it until the race? There we go. We're just going to have to wait for him to get into the pits and pulled into the garage. So it's taking the longest possible time. I'm going to prepare ourselves to go through into the next session. So a little bit of a pause here currently, as we're just going to wait through. And there we go, so as Q1 completes, as said, Hemi in P1, you've got Jericho, Folly, Rireen, Extinct, Gadawin, Cody, Milos, Golden Flame, LBU, and Rohan in the top 11, because I somehow didn't say 10. And then we've got, obviously, the guys knocked out from the session. We've got Naismith, Ayan, Walkadinho, Thinkinade, and Chaco Silva. So you've still got 15 drivers left for Q2. And that is going to be the special one. Are we going to see medium tyres finally getting thrown out? Or is it just going to stay at the same tyres? Alright then, so just a quick break before the start of Q2. And here we go. So we're back for Q2 here as the chat has gone quite lively. We've got Bashi here again. And well, quite a little bit of complaining. Apparently Jericho slowed down before crossing the line when he was 7/10 up. Yeah, I don't think that's true. We obviously know he is lying. As we're going to see quite a lot of medium tyres over here. So, well, the thoughts about this session reviewing the medium tyres is actually true. Obviously, we know Folly isn't going to be able to go for that kind of play, as he has already used them in Q1. So everyone currently out on track is on the mediums, except for Golden Flame, who decides to go on the softs instead. As Jericho tries to make me watch his stream to make sure that to make me actually believe him, but I'm not going to. We all know that it's cap. As well, Cody is going to prepare to start off the lap. Obviously the first guy out on the track. He's going to start off the lap on the mediums. So I accidentally hit my microphone for no reason. Here we go. As the lap starts off. And I've completely forgotten to turn on the other stuff. There we go. So Cody now going into turn 1 yet again. Cuts turn 1 a little bit, completely stays fine with them track limits. And then lift a little bit as you have to. It's a 120 or yeah, 22 seconds per sector. And got extinct saying that he will smoke the Haas, so that is... I would like to see that, quite honestly. Got Cody now going through sector 2. All fine currently. Of course the mediums a lot less traction on them, but they're still pretty good tyres, especially for the race, and is going to be shown later down the line. A purple sector 2, as Cody goes a little bit too hard on the acceleration there over hairpin. And we're going to be seeing him slowly ending off the lap with the chicane over here. Of course lagging moving around a little bit, but not that much. And he is going to set a 1:18 to start off the session. Next drive to cross the line, his own teammate, Golden Flame, as he aborts the lap attempt and instead just lets Ririna through, so I guess let's go over there. There's also medium runner here. What is that lap time going to be? It's going to cross the line, it's going to be a 1:17.5, so 3/10 slower than the soft run in Q1. This Golden Flame sets a 1:26, you should be ashamed of yourself. Just kidding, but yeah. Moving on, we've got Lee Craig with a 1:18 as we try to catch another car. And we've got Jericho starting off a lap on the softs now, so maybe now we can actually see that super good kind of lap that we saw in Q1. Although we missed out on Q1, we decided to slow down at the line. He's got Cody most likely setting a lap time, going through sector 3 currently. Jericho 21.5 through sector 1, so that is a big improvement over the likes of Cody, as Ririna lets him through. Now the only car ahead is Lee Craig. It's going to go as Jericho goes through sector 2. Quite fine, no problems over there, expecting a second purple sector, and it is a second purple sector. As a 50 flat through sector 2. Now it's going to be ending it off as Lee Craig. This is their TS slowly kicking in, but I'm pretty sure Lee Craig is actually on a lap, but he decides to use the alternate track layout to leave Jericho's space. He cuts the curb quite a lot, but obviously stays within the track limit, and he's going to cross the line. It's going to be a 1:15.8. That is quite an improvement over that previous lap. As we're going to have Foley starting up a lap time on the softs. We've also currently got Gadwin in the middle of his lap. Just missed out on the second 2 time. But now going through sector 3. Probably also looking to get up into P2 on the fresh softs. So now round the final chicane. Doesn't cut. What I've realised is the drivers don't cut that curb as much as Jericho does. They just basically skip out on it. As Gadwin's going to set a 1:17.3 going P2. As we've now got multiple drivers starting up their laps. We've got Foley in the middle of his laps. Let's just look at that one. He's now going through sector 2. Obviously the time for Jericho's on 50 flat. And Foley's sector 2 time is going to be about 2/10 down, I would say 1.5. It's interesting to see now if the third sector is where that time is gained. As there's Jericho letting through the championship rival here. I'm not going to say that was him struggling, because it's mostly the lag jumping back and forth. As Foley's now going to round the final corner. And the lap time is a 1:16.2. So it might only be P2, but it's also over a second ahead of the rest as Ririna sets a 1:17 flat on the mediums. And we've now got a few drivers. We've got Gadwin most likely pitting. We've got a nice job about to... No, it's not a nice job, that is... LB. LBU are about to start off the lap. We've got Nice Job, the next guy to cross the track, and Folly just got a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking. That is a game changer. We're just going to see this as Nice Job goes P5, and what could have happened here? Folly and Golden Flame must have just like got wrangled together in some way, but one on an out lap and one just finishing their lap times, probably on an in lap, and Foley manages to get illegal blocking for that. That is going to be huge for Jericho, as now his rivals 5 positions down at the start. But let's jump now to Rohan, who just finishes their lap time. Marines probably seeing another one. As next one to cross the line looks to be LBU here. On the mediums as well. The last driver, it seems to be setting a lap time on the mediums, 50.7 through second 2. And, ooh, that is actually a spin. Manages to catch it. And manages to not invalidate, but most likely that is not going to be on the lap time. He's going to want to finish. As Golden Flame starts off his lap, and we're going to have... That's not David. We're going to have a Noise Job about to finish off his second lap, and most likely an in-lap. Nope, he's going to take it to the line. Doesn't improve. What he does goes up into P4. There's got David finishing off their lap time here. And it's going to be on the softs. It's going to be a 116.7. That's a good lap right there. We've got Cody starting off their lap time. We've got Milos about to finish off there. And it looks to be a 117.8. Up to P8. P7 as Rohan is going to go P8 now as well. Just 9 thousandths. Yeah, 9 thousandths of a second ahead of behind Milos. I'm really apologising about missing these slight points, but yes. Moving on, we've got Golden Flame about to set a actual lap time here. Going through sector 3 now. It doesn't invalidate, and now just the last corner remaining, and it's going to be a 116.9 thing, P4 currently. We've got Extinct starting off their lap time. Plain Cookie going through sector 3 now. I think that is him running out of fuel. Yeah. Out of fuel on the way in. We've got Cody on an invalidated lap time. We've got LBU just out of the pits. So trying to find anyone on our lap time. Well, I guess we're going to just go over to Extinct then. One of the 5 drivers in the danger zone currently. With only 4.5 minutes remaining. Extinct, Hemi and LBU still haven't set lap times yet. And we've got Lee Craig and Plain Cookie looking to try to push themselves out of the top 10. I'm just going to quickly swap over to the tyres on the best lap just to show you who's currently trying to qualify on the mediums and who's not. We've got now Extinct going through sector 3. How is that lap going to turn out? Manages to not invalidate through there. He's going to now go for the final chicane. And now for the final corner. Looks to be a 116, 117 somewhere along the lines of those. It's going to be a 117.4. So not quite the at least 16 that he said earlier, but that is still P8 currently. He's going to jump over to LBU just starting off the lap time. The track now starting to become a lot smaller. As we're at the end of the session, as Gadwin also starts off the lap time. And a lot of tyre changes now coming in. We've got LBU 21.9 through sector 1. Trying on the mediums anyway, so that is a interesting strategy. That is certainly interesting considering the fact that, well, he's not going to have enough time to switch over to the softs and go for another run, so that is gambling it all on the mediums. And now through sector 2, that's going to be 50.7, so slightly faster than I'm pretty sure was the Q1 attempt. this time doesn't spin it. It's all good. It's gonna go into the final few corners now, as we're gonna have Extinct ahead of him pitting. After that, we're also gonna have Lee Craig as he invalidates and goes straight into the pits. So that's gonna be a swap to soft and an attempt to get into Q3, as Lee Craig's going to go across the line, go P9 currently, 17.6. Might have enough time for another lap if he has the fuel, but I don't think he does. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is 1.1. It's not enough fuel, because David's going to retire from the session. Completely fine in P3 there. And we've got Gadwin, I think, finishing off at that time. P7, we've also got Bobby now retiring, completely safe, with over 1.5 second gap to P11. We've got Hemi starting off there that time. Will it be the second Williams? Will the second Williams be the one to actually set a lap time on mediums? No time, so if he invalidates here, Hemi is going to be out in Q2. It's important that this lap does not go wrong. We've got a second one time, 21.7. Now obviously multiple drivers are going to prepare to start off their final laps as we go through around the grid. As I'm pretty sure that is. So we're going to have one of the Red Bulls crossing the line right now, probably Rohan to start off their lap. As Haney shakes a little bit there on the exit, obviously it's unsure if it's that or just a lag kicking in. Now it's going to be going into the final sector. And here we go, just the final few turns. Just don't invalidate on the final corner like your teammate. Doesn't do it, stays within the margins. It's going to cross the line and it's going to be a 1:16.6. That is well and enough to get into Q3. So now Plain Cookie about to cross the line. Half a second up through sector 2. He's going to cross the line to go into P10. So currently is safe, but that could maybe not be enough, as Milo's going to start off their second lap time now. LBU about to start the lap. We've got Cody, who's down at P14, 3/10 up through sector 2. Currently to get out needs to improve start by over 6/10. And you've only got one sector to make that up. It's going to go as that's most likely Lee slowing down and letting Rohan through. Rohan, who's also in the danger zone, as Cody loses traction on the way and he's going to invalidate his run. That is not a good place to stay on. So hopefully Cody moves. Cody retires from the session after that. So we're going to jump over to Rohan, who luckily doesn't get blocked by Cody there and is going to go P7, so completely safe here, as Lee Craig is going to be pitting. I've got LBU on the lap time. We've got Hemi, who's going to finish line currently. Plain Cookie with another attempt to save themselves, but runs out of fuel, so it's not going to be enough. And now Milos with the run invalidates, so it is also out. So the only driver who can potentially put themselves into Q3 is going to be LBU. Needs to set a 1:17.4 to get into Q3, and is going to now lose a little bit of traction down the exit. But it's now the run down to the line, and it's going to be a 1:16.8. LBU is completely safe, and that is Extinct out in Q2. So we're just going to pop over to the tyres as we're just waiting for a few drops to pit. So we've got Hemi, Neustrup and Marine making it through on the mediums. So that's going to be their starting tyres. Of course, everyone outside of the top 10 gets free choice for the start. And well, that is the session. So the drivers out in Q2 are Extinct. I didn't get to read all of that, so we're going to go through that in a second. Oh yeah, I'm sorry for that. Bashi, I'm gonna for the next session I'm gonna turn on the telemetry. So Q2 finishes up with Jericho first. Then we got Folly, Hemi, David, LBU closing up the top 5. Golden Flame, Marine, Rohan, Neustrup, and Gadwin finish out the top 10. So Extinct, Plain Cookie, Lee Craig, Milos, and Cody are out in Q2. And we've got Hemi, Ririne, and Neutral making it through all the mediums. Meanwhile, Foley gets a 5-place grid penalty, as I'm just going to confirm that, for illegal blocking when around Golden Flame. So that's going to be a major disadvantage for the start of the race. And as we're going to go into Q3 and the sprint for pole. As well, just looking at the chat, if we can get any kind of explanation for the 5-place grid penalty. Most of the time the drivers know more than we do. And yeah, it turns out that happens as we're going to start off Q3. And Jericho goes out immediately, doesn't even wait a second. Most of the time it's Cody who is the guy who comes out of the pits immediately as the session starts, but this time, nope, it's Jericho. On the softs. Most likely not going to pull up the tyre screen now, because quite obviously don't think anybody would be going around setting medium lap times in the top 10 shootout. So there we go. Jericho first driver out on track, Ririne's going to be the second one. And we're just going to be looking at the outlap, so still no explanation on how the grid penalty occurred. And we've got currently now Jericho going through sector 2. I'm just looking over at the chat and getting mildly confused by some messages, but right then, so we're gonna have Jericho preparing to start off his lap time. Hopefully the one that puts him on pole. Wider before he starts off the lap. Luck tries to validate, and there we go, the lap time begins. So there's going to have LBU right next to him, but obviously we're going to have to get through. Goes harshly on both turns, goes off the curb quite a lot, as we've got Nice Job ahead, moves out of the way. Luckily the dirty head didn't kick in that hard at 21.5 through the first sector. Now through sector 2.5. Nothing special currently, as it was quite aggressively on the curbs here as well. You've got to push the limits on this track. Obviously if you want to get pole anyway, you have to push the limits as hard as possible. And Jericho with 50 flat for the second sector, so that's a pretty decent lap time compared to Q1 and Q2. As he almost spins on that curve, manages to catch it quite nicely. That is going to be a big time loss though. He's going to head over to finish lap off, and he's going to validate on the curve. And I think that is a double invalidation as well. The icing on the cake is that it's both laps invalidated. So all that going over the curb now comes back to bite him. We've got Ririne slowing down before starting off the lap time. Probably something that must have gone wrong. Golden Flame's going to be first man to set the lap time. As currently rounding the curves. Now we've got across the line. It's going to be a 1:17.2. Got Ririne heading into the pits, next drive to cross the line. Looks to be Jericho who's invalidated, so it's going to be LBU. Who now is going through the second sector. Goes by pretty well. That is going to have into the braking zone 50.5. The first sector, as Rohan's going to set a 117 flat. goes provisional pole currently. As LBU for the final few corners. Jericho probably pitting now. All starting up another lap, and yes, that is him going to the pits. So now LBU crosses the line, and it's a 1:16.7, goes fastest currently. Has got Foley right behind him, preparing to smash that time. It's going to be a 1:16.6, only a tenth of a difference. Next up, Noise Job to cross the line, 1:16.9. Because now we're going to have the next job to cross the line as King David, 50.5 through the second sector. So about the same as LBU, only needs about a tenth more to maybe get on pole. And he invalidates slightly, goes over that curb. So what is that? Him slowing down and going for another lap most likely, or just him going to pit? Goes really slow on the tyres. And yeah, he's going to start up another lap like that. Thought he was just trying to get as little tyre wear as possible. I've got Rireen now out again on the tyres. And you've got Gadwin about to start off their lap time. As most likely nobody's currently on the lap. As we've got, yeah, Folby slowing down to actually, yeah, slowing down to let Noise Job through. He was only a tenth behind the second 3 time, but the fuel seems to be running out, so that's gonna be that attempt over. As next one to cross the line is gonna be David, 1:21.7 through the first sector. Almost spins it, manages to catch it. And now going through sector 2. Second sector time is going to be 50.4, so pretty quick, slightly quicker than LBU. Could be maybe on for even getting provisional pole. He was pretty close to Foley in Q1, although there was that time difference. Now he's going to round the final corners. Goes across the line. It is a 1:16.4, so it goes fastest. As we're going to have Gadwin now going through sector 3. Let's end off their lap. And what's that going to be? Around the final corner, looks to be a 1:16 of sorts. A 1:16.17, which puts him in P4 currently. As the only drivers left on track is these two that we looked at earlier, and Rireen. That just seems to be a lag causing him to look like he's leaving. And a 50.7 through the second sector. We've got now 1 minute across the board, and how is this going to go? Goes through. Final corners, that is Gadwin slowing down to let Golden Flame through, who has gone out again on the hard, on the softs. And Rireen goes 5th. So now we've got kind of a closed down situation as everyone's heading into the pits. We've got Golden Flame who's about to start off the lap time, and soon it's going to be pure chaos as everybody goes out of the final lap times. Hoping to go on pole. There we go, Golden Flame about to start off his lap time. Currently last out of all the drivers who have gone laps. And obviously has gone 3:10 faster in Q2. But there we go. And well, through the first 2 corners, all fine, but he goes and invalidates it. After a pretty poor exit there. And now yet again we've got 2 drivers on out laps, and that is it. As Rireen's most likely heading to the pits. And yep. So the next driver to start their lap time is Jericho. And we're just all going to be waiting soon. I'm going to surely see everybody rush out of the pits to start setting a lap time. David currently in provisional P1. That's one of the tier 2 reserves, getting so far up, which is really interesting to see. He's gonna have Jericho starting off his lap time, and after validating the first one, this has to be a good one. And here we go, starts it up. Currently P10. Not a lot to say about the straight here, but into turn 1. It goes as hard on the curb, goes quite a lot on it into turn 2, but not into turn 1. Goes a little bit wider than usual. It's going to be 121.5 per sector. And now, down here, yeah, it's hard to say if something goes right or wrong due to the slight lag. It's looking good as we're now going through the end of sector 2. And yes, 49.9, that is the fastest sector 2 we've seen yet. So now it's interesting to see, is he going to end off the lap as well, or is it going to be the same mistake as on the previous run? Hopefully the curbs don't cut too much. And yeah, this time goes conservative, doesn't cut as much. Manages to stay within the track limits. And that is going to be a 1:15.8. And we're seeing a 1:15 pop up again. That is a great lap to see. Maybe he could have gained a little bit more by cutting that curb as he usually does, but there we go, next round cross line. Here's going to be Rohan. And it's going to be a 1:16.4, goes second fastest currently. Next one, we're going to have Golden Flame, who has invalidated Reveen, who's starting up his lap. And a lot more drivers that are starting up their lap times currently, as we got nice job spinning and hitting the wall and somehow not retiring there. That is going to be the qualifying over, as he obviously just going to have to go back into the pits with no win. So who have we got next? We're going to have David, who's actually on our lap here, which we missed out on completely, but yep, invalidated. So who have we got then next? Jericho obviously not pushing yet. And I think the next driver to sell lap time is Reveen, as we got Golden Flame spinning. That is the racing curb, sir, so that is... try to come out now, doesn't do it as well, and that is just throwing dust into LBU's eyes, so that is pretty rude. But if we go with Hemi, next driver to most likely set a lap time, as now through sector 2, didn't see the sector 1 time, obviously no time on the board. Hemi just loves to leave and setting the lap time in the last possible opportunity, which has hurt him in the past, but this time it looks like it's going to work out. Doesn't invalidate for that turn, and it's going to be a 50 second sector. It's all good there. Got also LBU right behind him as he starts spinning. Manages to keep it together and is going to end off the lap like that, as we're really going to go to Reveen. I'm about to say their lap time looks to be somewhere around 16.7. And it's going to be a 16.5 actually, as we quickly jump over to Henny, who crosses the line into third place. Could have been P2, could have been close had it not been for that mistake, as LBU goes P2. And that is a crazy lap right here. As we're going to have Folly now ending off their lap time 1:10 faster, and it's going to be actual P2 there. Amazing lap as Golden Flame pits. So we've got Jericho and P1, Folly P2, and then you've got LBU, David, Rohan, Hemi, Reveen, Gadawin, nice job, and then Golden Flame in 10th place. But that is actually, for the starting order of the race, you're going to see LBU in the front row next to Jericho, as Foley with that 5th place grid penalty is going to be put down into P7. So we're going to have LBU on the front row, you're going to have David and Rohan on the second row, then Hemi... Wait, no, yeah. We've got Hemi and Folly. No, wait, Hemi and Reveen on the third row, and Folly Gadawin on the fourth. I'm completely messing this up. This doesn't go nearly as well currently, but here we go, as we're going to be moving over to the race itself. No lobby glitches, which hasn't been so normal. But yes, not a lot of invalidations during the laps too, so track limits don't seem to be that much of an issue for these drivers. Obviously there were quite a few track limit penalties last week, or not last week but in the tier 2 race. In tier 1 got a lot less of it here. As we're going to be going over yet again, just going to go through the results quickly. You've got Jericho in P1, then you've got Folly, LBU, David, Rohan, Hemi, Rireen, Gadwin, Nice Job, and Golden Flame. Remember also that Nice Job, Rireen, and Hemi are going to be starting off on the mediums in their positions, as everybody else will be having to start on the softs. And that is a rule we're not going to see for much longer, as it's going to be removed in the next year's game, so that's pretty sad to see, as it kills off the excitement of Q2 and trying to set lap times on the worst tyres. And now we're just going to be waiting for the players, so it's going to be interesting to see what the bottom 10 does. Of course, soft mediums is possible, but you can, at the same time, you can just do medium soft if you really want to. It's going to be interesting to see which of the bottom 10 decide to start off on the softs and which of the bottom 10 decide to start off on the mediums. Let's go 33 laps here. It's a pretty long race. We're going to see how it goes with the amount of safety cars and such. As of course, the qualifying showed us that it's pretty easy to lose it here. Of course, 4 drivers DNFing during Q1, and then no real retirements in Q2 and Q3, but Q1 had a lot of them. So we've now got the countdown before the start of the formation lap, and we're going to be able to see all the tyre choices of the bottom 10, which is always interesting to see. And there we go, as it sends us over to the grid. Well then, LBU on the first row like it's early tier 2 days. And well, looking at the tyre strategy, pretty much everyone in the bottom 10 decides to go for the mediums, except for Extinct and Cody, who most likely looking to make the most out of softs instead, which could work. Softs usually here can survive about 9, 10 to maybe 11 laps if you're stretching it, but obviously the dirty air kills them off a lot faster, so you really need to be ahead if you want to use them. And it also, as if we get any look on the weather, which is pretty good to see, it looks quite clear skies, so it's going to be interesting to see if overheating of the tyres comes into play, as in the yesterday's tier 2 race the weather was overcast, so tyre overheating wasn't as bad, but in the clear weather it could be a huge issue for these drivers. As we've got everyone just warming up their tyres, I'm going to move over to position changes for the start itself and just have the telemetry up. And here we go. Predicted pit stop strategies are 2 stoppers, but that is clear. You can do them, and it could happen if we get safety cars, but most likely you're only going to see 1 stop from these drivers. As we've now going to have the AI take over and set them up on the grid itself. And it's going to be interesting. Can we see the same kind of start as we saw in the tier 2 race yesterday, where the P3 driver gets an amazing jump on the top 2 and moves up into the lead, as Seacomon did on the David, the exact driver who is in P3 now, so maybe it's his time to shine. He's got to find a few cars setting themselves up on the grid, and we're going to be hoping to get a pretty good camera look of the start. Currently they're pretty horrendous, as it's somehow also lap 2, back to lap 1, back to Chaco in the lead. There we go, as we're going to be readying up, as it's 5 red lights, and it's lights out and away we go. And it looks to me like Jericho might have got the worst start as there's a huge crash in the back. There's 2 cars already out and now going into turn 1. David has actually moved up into the lead. And as there's a safety car now. And we've seen the repeat of the race yesterday with the P3 driver jumping into first place. But that is a huge crash in the back. Would have to see some kind of replay to see what happened there, but it seems as though just a lot of drivers bashing into each other over here. And we're already going to have a lap 1 safety car as Milos and Danae Smith are out. After about 20 meters or so, even less I think. So now everybody's slowing down. As we're just quickly going to look at the position changes. Of course, the biggest gainer currently is David, who got that jump at the start and moved up into P1 before the safety car was brought out, so they couldn't overtake him back. And then you've obviously got Finkenade and Cacho Silva, who's gained 3 positions, but 2 of them also being from 2 DNF drivers, so not as huge. As we've got Walker Dino. Doesn't seem like it's got damage. Doesn't seem like it. A little bit of floor damage, I think, or that just could be sponsors, who knows. But we're now going to see these drivers slowly drive up the safety cars, just waiting at the end of turn 3. No pit stops until now. We've got Lee Craig Finkelman pitting, so that's most likely they also got damage from the start incident. And now as the top drivers are going to be closing up, is that Finkelman ending off the race, retiring in the pit lane, unfortunately. So we've got 3 drivers out this early in the race. And it's unfortunate to see. As Lee Craig, we're just going to check what that is. That is a pit stop too. Well, who knows, because their camera just wants to look at the pit box itself. There we go. It seems like a pit stop onto the softs. So probably then going to go for soft for 2 soft runs until the end, or he's going to have to go soft medium because can't make soft last for 15-16 seconds. As we got Kiwi in the general chat, I have no clue what happened there at the start. We would have to look at that again, but unfortunately there's no replay function. So we're just going to have to check that post-race, I guess. That was a crazy start though. And okay, so while trying to figure out what has happened, it seems as though it could have been Cody's fault. So apparently, from what it seems from one of the drivers in DNF, that was Milos spinning off the line towards Cody, who took a few drivers out. Obviously, you can't make any exact claim of what happened. That's just going to have to be seen at the report room. It seems like those stewards will have quite a lot to do, because that's a really weird crash to see. And we got 3 drivers out. And then, so safety car most likely coming in this lap. We're going to be going racing again. The question is, how are they going to approach? I cannot talk, so how are they going to approach the restart? We've got Jericho looking to take back the lead as soon as we're off and going. Interesting to see what LBU and Hemi are going to do. If we're going to see LBU letting his teammate through, or if they're just going to stick for the fight together. Most likely LBU is the faster driver with the tyres. It's going to be interesting to see. And of course Foley hasn't really gained any positions during this part. And what this is doing, I guess, is just giving more of an advantage to the soft drivers, I would say, as it gives them more time. with the softs and lets them stay out for longer before switching over to the mediums. However, that is also because of the fact that they're moving around to warm them up, also killing the tires a little bit, which obviously it's better to kill off the mediums a light bit instead of killing off the softs. It's going to be interesting to see how this restart goes, as now the safety car is on the way in, so we're just going to wait and see how it goes. I've got David closing the pack up. Of course, safety car glitch is still intact, so he has to wait before he goes. And he's going to slow down at the curb. This could be a potential penalty in case of contact. Still slowing down, still not going. There we go. And now David is off. Did he catch Jericho by surprise? Not by a lot, but Jericho was caught out a little bit, as LBU might be looking to make the move here. No, just can't close up enough, but there's already like a full 10th gap between LBU and Jericho. Seems like the restart went by smoothly, except for Lee Craig losing about 2 seconds, as we've got Gadwin spinning at turn 1, so that either could be just him spinning through the corners or contact that caused it. But now Jericho slowly racing down. David, of course, still 2 more laps, but there's still about a lap before DRS is enabled. So we're just going to have to wait. The question is, can Jericho overtake him earlier, or will he actually fall out of DRS due to just the dirty air? As we've got yellow flags still in the area where Gadwin spun, even though he's far into second 2. And here we go, where we're looking at it over here as we just quickly going to jump over to the bottom part. As we've got Aeon, who just got everything on both Extinct and Catcher Silver. Could that be damage? Doesn't seem like it, so yeah, he is fine. As we're quite quickly going to jump back up into Orchidinia's perspective, who's most likely trying to go for the move on Aeon. Starts waving a bit, but there isn't just enough space for the move. We're gonna go back into Jericho's perspective, as Folly is also getting real close to green. But yeah, has to back off a little bit. It's really hard to stay within other drivers here. It's got Hemi also looking for some place to go for a move, but he can't exactly find it. And you see Jericho's right on the rear of David, just waiting for that opportunity to overtake him. Could be this straight, but most likely he's just going to wait for the DRS as LBU. There we go, here comes the teammate play that's going to let Hemi through. And Hemi now has to do a little bit of work to close up to Jericho and actually get the DRS once it's enabled. As it seems as though we do just have yellow flags just stuck occasionally at the exit of turn 2, so that should be fine considering that it's not a corner. Overtakes are most likely always finished beforehand. We've got Hemi setting the fastest lap of the race on the mediums. That is always interesting to see, as finally with the DRS enabled, are we going to be seeing any kind of move, as it seems like I've completely missed Aeon spinning earlier and him getting passed by everyone. So here we go, now we're going to have Jericho really close to David here. He is behind on DRS, but also he has got DRS to assist him. Tries to stay as close as possible before the straight, and now it's the question, is the overtake happening right here, right now, or is he going to wait for the main straight itself? Manages to stay within all the DRS, but no, David is just going to push away, and now they're pretty much tied on ERS, so probably had to use a lot more to avoid the move from happening. And now is the turn where we're most likely going to see it unfold. Jericho still staying within those 4 tenths or such, as that's Aeon probably pitting, I think, or just having another spin. As here we go with the DRS now, Jericho's going to leave for the move. David weaving around, trying to defend, but here we go, Jericho's going to pass cleanly, and not a lot to be done as it's, yeah, it's just the camera jumping. It's really uncomfortable to know how if the move actually works or not, but Jericho is free now. And the question is, how long is it going to take before Hemi tries to overtake David as well? As that gap is shrinking, and the softs are going to start to slow down a little bit, because we're at 7 laps, I guess 5 if you discount those safety car laps. But yeah, it's gonna start to be more and more medium tire advantage as Aeon is in the pits, and we've got Hemi not close enough for a move yet, but that might have just been for him to close up but then go for a move on the main straight as well. Volley is still battling Ravine to try to make the move happen. Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna have a Hemi now looking for the overtake as David almost gets knocked out of the DRS from Jericho as he goes all out for 18.9 in the last lap of the race currently. And Hemi now racing down David as Cody is the first driver to jump the gun and pit. He's gonna almost like go to the tyres to see what the tyre choice there is. And is it going to be hard? Is it going to be mediums? Most likely a little bit too early to go for the soft medium one stop, but that is mediums. As Henry's now right behind David, so those softs looks like they're really struggling. As in the meantime, we lost what Foley passing Irina finally. And we've got LBU still holding his ground against Rohan. And we've got Ravine with the first 3 second time penalty of the race. And there's yellow flags in sector 1 for no reason, and Aeon is put a lap down even though I can't even see him on the track. But yes, we are seeing a lot of things happening here. We're going to have Hemi now, maybe is the time where he gets the move done. David most likely out of DRS. So this is the time to do it. Nope, he's still got DRS, and that's half a second of a gap. Can Hemi actually edge that? Doesn't seem like it will, but we're going to have Foley Rohan. There's quite a DRS train here from Noise, or from LBU to Noise, as now Rohan's going to go for the move. We're going to go side by side into the turn, and that is a complete fine pass. As LBU is down into P5, but he's also going to lose the position to Foley as well. Just goes wide and loses the position. Has 2 places that he loses at right about the same point. As we're going to move back quite at the front as Golden Flame and Gadwin also now pit for fresh news. So we are at the pit stop phase. And no, the pit stop window of the soft tyres. As well, you can see it, for example, from Hemi and David. Hemi is going faster through most of the track. Of course, dirty air still affecting him a lot. You also can see David has closed up to Jericho a lot, as these guys are using a lot of the battery, something like 20%, while Hemi's pretty much on a full battery. That could spell trouble for both of them. As now, with that gap being so small between David and Hemi, it would be mad, especially with David not having DRS, if Hemi wasn't able to make the move, and that's going to happen as LBU proceeds to pit another driver, another of the soft runners, coming to the pits. Now you can see how much David is quickly losing. It's already 4 tenths. As Rohan overtakes Foley, who has to take the off-road and is now overtaken by Noise. That is interesting that we missed what happened there. It must have been an overtake attempt, which failed, and then causing him having to go on the off-road there to avoid a crash. We've got LBU going over to the hard, so the first of the hard runners here. We've got confirmation that AM is in fact DNF. And yeah, David manages to stay in the DRS, but Hemi is closing up to Jericho. So does Jericho pull the trigger and pit slightly earlier, or does he stay out still until he gets overtaken? We're going to see now, of course, there is a big battery advantage for Hemi, and also at this point, a tyre advantage. So interesting to see. And Jericho stays out still, so that is going to be difficult. The question is, can he keep the position? Gap is 4 tenths, but it's also DRS and Hemi. No ERS on either side as he's just going to fly through. I've got Rohan pitting, however. So we've still got a few drivers still on the softs, but majority on the mediums. So that is Golden Flame spinning and getting passed by his teammate. So both the Haas cars having a bad day currently, as we're going to move up, as we've got a three-way battle between Extinct Plain Cookie and Jacob Silva. Of course, Extinct on the softs, which are probably now older, and the mediums are the faster tyre, which is why these two have closed up as much as they have.